Yes, and this is our 14th episode in this series, and this time we start looking into counters. And don't be too fast with skipping ahead or just taking the plunge and stopping the video and move on to something else, because I've also included the segment about the hysteresis and the Schmitt trigger circuits. So that will be at the end of this video. Yeah, counting. How hard could it really be? And it's not really that hard. We have already touched into the basics. But of course, there is always some things you have to consider and some opportunities to make mistakes. And this is the ordinary way of presenting a flip-flop. And what we did last time was we had this kind of flip-flop. Everything else here was connected up to a high. So this was basically what we had on the counter that we had, where we put in a signal here, and we got it counted like so here, and like so over there. So this was the basics we did last night. And what's troublesome for me is that some people misunderstand the least significant and most significant bit when you are counting binary. And this is how this is normally represented when you draw these flip-flops. And they are drawn like this from left to right, and the truth table should then be turned so that you have the least significant bit over here to the left. But normally when we are counting, we are doing the least significant bit on the right. So this can offer some confusion, and you need to take that into consideration. Myself, I kind of like to think of this way, so that we present this with the least significant bit to the right, and we keep the truth table as clean as we can when it comes to counting. So if I read a value here from the truth table, this will be 7 and not the other way around. And of course you will encounter both of these, so it's important to notice just what you have in the way of least significant and most significant bit when you are doing this. And what we have really done, and a good way to picture this, is to look at this in a time frame. We started that already back when we did the OR and the AND gates. We started with just putting out a time base for this. And here you can see we have structured this as least significant bit to the right. And we have the count here from 0 to 15. And we also take into consideration that if you are counting longer than the 4 bits that we have here, you do have a carry flag. You do need to know when you have an overrun here. And that is the 5th bit that is presented here. It's the carry bit or carry flag. That means that you have counted one turn around here. And this is pictured here. This is the clock pulse. It's changing every other, and this is the least significant bit, and this is the most significant bit, and this is the carry, or really 5th bit. It's the one we are taking with us to the next counter if we are cascading them. And all counting is the same, right? Not so fast, because sometimes we do need to count the normal number system that we have, that we surround us with in all our daily life, except the watch, of course, where we are counting to 10 before we start over again. And this is called a decade counter or BCD counter. And that really counts up to 9 until some logic resets it at start again here. And here we have to have the carry flag when it's turning around from 9. And And the binary or hex counter, it's just continuing to all these 4 bits are set as they should. And 15 or F, if you are going to take the hexadecimal numbers here, we are doing a full turn of these 4 bits before we are turning around to 0 again, and eventually setting the carry bit if it's implemented. And we do have some examples of this. The 7490 is a decade counter, and this is a good old variant. I used this back in school, and this is a classic. It's not used much anymore. It's becoming harder to get hold of, and then there are some better counting circuits when it comes to higher numbers. 7490 series is some counters that's more used, but this is acting like decade counter like this. It comes to 10 and it resets. And for hex counters, we do have the 7493, and this actually is a beast that can lead to some confusion, because if you have this L variant, as I have several, I think I have 7 or 8 of these L93 counters, and I've ordered some without L and got some more Ls, and this L is not pin compatible with the LS or the version with no family name in the middle of the numbers at all. So you can see here the pinout is not the same, and this got me confused when I was building the the 1581 floppy drive, I think it was. But you can reconfigure the 7493 L93 to work in here, and you can also do some other counters if you can't get hold of a 7493. You can also, with some adaptation, use a 7491 or 193, the one we have here. So both of these are more modern versions of these counters, but with some difference in the internal paths and how they work. And I would advise you to use some time to study the data sheets of these counters. You can really gain some information about what counting in the TTL world is really about. But today we don't have the time to put this up on the bench, so we are only going to present the theory today, and tomorrow we start counting. What I have in front of me here on the bench is actually what I talked about earlier here. I have one gate, or change to this one. I have one gate here that's an inverter. That is 74LS04, and I have one gate that I've just used the chip that we have up here. I used another gate, and this is a 74LS14, and this is a Schmitt trigger. And I've connected these two together, and I'm feeding those with the same signal now, and this is a square wave. And as you can see here on the scope, I'm getting the same square wave out, and it's the 1 kHz signal from earlier that we are using here. So, and this is connected to probe 2. The green one is the Schmitt trigger, and this one that actually is green is channel 1, and it's the yellow one. And now I'm feeding it with a square wave. I'm going to disconnect this so I don't get... It really doesn't matter, it won't destroy anything. I'm putting in a sine wave, and here you can see the difference between a Schmitt trigger and an inverter. And now we see this signal here. I can just take the time base and extend it so you will see it better. You see that the green one that's going to the Schmitt trigger is this perfect square, while the one that is coming in here on the 04 gate is more decoupled and sine wave, and it also has a different length on the top here. And this is because this is working into the illegal area of the chip, so it's actually as an amplifier and a limiter, not a logic gate in this area. And if I now take and watch the sine input instead of this, this is not the best clamp. And coupled with this, that the scope doesn't have the best clamps. Like so. Now you will see that this square wave that is coming here to turn on when it comes here, and it turns off when it goes there. And it's possible to, if I have took the sine wave and might increase the amplitude, because you can see here it extends below 0, and that's because the offset and the impedance fitness is not very good on this. I just running this on high impedance on the function generator. But as you can see, it switches on here and off here, and that is what the hysteresis means for this, and that is why we are getting a perfect square out of this. And I can see the same if I try with, this is a triangular signal, and you can see about the same on this one. This is a half inverted sine wave, and you can see the same here, turns off and turns on and turns off. So that's the basic. I can even try with the noise setting. I've never tried that before. It doesn't work at all because it's not triggering enough. So this is the basics behind the Schmitt trigger. And if I tried the same now and the other curves with just this chip here, I'm going to show you how that looks. This is the one we already saw with the sine wave. You see here it turns off and on at the same level down here, and it acts as an amplifier up here. This was with the square wave. It really doesn't matter much, it's just inverted. With the triangular signal you see the same here, and with the sine, the rectified sine, you can see the same. So this is not a very good converter of these signals. Yes, that's it. Hopefully you learned something. This video was combined and both about counters, the basics of counters we already covered, but the connection between flip-flops and counters is something you have to see for yourself to make the understanding and deep knowledge that this could be used to. And the counters are used to all kinds of bits and pieces inside of computers. In the Spectrum clone that I made, that was actually developed back in Russia, the whole logical circuits for the timing of the PAL television system was coded as counters and frequency dividers to make the right timings. So everything is possible with the timers, but it takes a lot of patience, and you also need to have a very well understanding of what you do. So thanks for watching. Hope to see you again tomorrow. That will be my 15th episode, and we continue with counters. Thank you.